I have no excuse, which sorry about that. I'm not going to talk about the story of Laxam because I already told the story to Farina, and
which
I
is
think
a beautiful
many
one,
of us know it. Welcome, Farina. This is the first time ever we have a Tuesday night, which is Tuesday night is our traditional night. That's the night we started with discovering Buddhism 5 years ago, and this is now the first time we actually have a physical person sitting here. Up until now, we always listen to MP3s, which we learned huge amount from, but it's really quite a new experience, an amazing experience for us. Yay. And I'm so glad to have Farina here, because Farina has been somehow part of our destiny for years now. Every time Venerable Namgyal came, all he talked about is like, there's this person, Farina, and I'm like, oh, Farina, funny name. And
that's something that I hear the first time. I've only heard that, like, I didn't know about
years
that.
ago, and the reason is because I studied Italian, and I'm like, oh, great. So we always heard about her, always thought it would be great to invite her to Zurich, and suddenly, finally, with all the pandemic and everything else, things came together, stars aligned. Farina ended up moving somewhere closer to us. Nobody knows for how long, and we are like, well, this is the opportunity to invite her. And she only told us later, but I don't know if it's a secret, but one of her lamas told her that every time she is asked to teach, she has to accept, which we got lucky, because otherwise she would have refused for sure. So this is the reason why she's here. She accepted kindly, and we're so happy to have you, Farina.
Thank you.
Looking forward to this course.
Wonderful.
Very much. And also welcome all of you here. Thank you for coming. We hope that the distances are good enough so that we don't have any risks introduced. Have fun, and I hope that we all come out as better meditators.
That I cannot promise. But well, thank you very much, Nina. If there's anything else that any one of you has to say at any point in time, please feel free. Since we're here in a Buddhist center, and even though I've been the last 4 months, for example, have been more in a secular approach, I still think that since we're here in a Buddhist center, I would like to start with generating motivation, taking refuge together, and generating the 4 immeasurables, if that is fine with you. Okay. I think if you don't have it by heart, it's on page 48, the daily prayers. For those who are online, you can just listen, and for anyone in general, if you are, I don't know your stories yet, which I'm going to ask each and every one, but in case you are completely new to Buddhism, and in case you don't feel comfortable to do any ritualistic things, you don't have to do it. You can just listen and just maybe think about the meaning that is behind. And taking refuge, we can do 3 times, 1 time in Tibetan and 2 times in English. And I think we should first do it in English and then in Tibetan so that we get the meaning. Okay. Sangye chodang sogi chognam la jangchur barlu dagni gyapsu chi Dagi jinso ki pe sonam ki Lola penche samye rupa shok. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I go for refuge until I'm enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly. By my practice of giving and the other perfections, may I become a Buddha to benefit all sentient beings. I've been, by the way, doing it the other way around. With the 4 immeasurables, I will always make a little break behind each line so that we have time to reflect. May all sentient beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. May all sentient beings be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all sentient beings be inseparable from the happiness that is free from suffering. And may all sentient beings abide in equanimity, free from attachment, offense, and hatred from animals. Okay, thank you. So maybe first, what is very important to me is that I'm very young and I haven't learned so much as maybe some of you have maybe even learned more. So anything that is of benefit is coming straight from my teachers and straight from the teachings that they have gained from their teachers. So which includes, and I want to give all the credit really to them, which includes especially the meditation teachings. I've learned a lot from Mingyo Rinpoche and also Venerable Namgyel, Glenn Svensson and other people. And most of the philosophical understanding that I've gained was from, especially from the master's program, Geshe Champa Gelek, and the tutor over there, whose name is Ziggy, and also people like Geshe Doji Damdru and Geshe Makhe Sangwangmo, who are great inspirations, and obviously people who I've been inspired to practice the Buddha Dharma and to enter even that are like, of course, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and Kadula and others. So really everything goes to them, and if there's anything that you don't connect to, it doesn't have to do with meditation, it doesn't have to do with the teachings itself, it most probably is just that I'm not able to express it in a way that is working for you guys. So then please don't just throw it away, just search a different person, search a different group, search a different whatever works well for you, so that's fine. That is very important to me. Then the next thing that we have already talked about a little bit was like that you are all a very, very supportive group. And I think most probably for you, it's not really a big new thing, but especially for those, right now it's only 3 online people or 2 online people, I don't know. But we want to also include them, and we also want to have an atmosphere of support here. So I really like one of my Tibetan teachers, her name is Francisca. She said comparison is a dead end. And I really like that. And especially with meditation and spirituality, we like to take those habits of comparing ourselves also to those places, so that we can just throw away, we can let go of that. And sometimes there's this thing of, oh, people have great questions, I need to have the best question next time, or those people sit so nice, I should also sit so nice, or these kind of things. Instead of feeling like competitive and fighting and feeling I have to do the next good questions, or I have to like also because I really like if we share what we experience. Some people then say, oh, I've experienced those great things, and others like, I don't experience anything. So we can have this competitive sense. We can just throw it out of the window, or if we have it, we can also learn how to deal with it. But instead of feeling competitive, let's try to feel inspired by each other. And I really like this approach of just letting jealousy be exchanged by inspiration, by rejoicing in the other person's fortune. So that is just something that I really, because you are already such a great supportive group, I just want to remind ourselves that we try that to continue. And also, I really like it to be interactive. I already talked with Nina and also Jeff and also Talia about it, that you are more like a study group and you like to go up and are completely informal and talk. And I think that is amazing. And similarly also with me, let's be very just informal and have lots of interaction. With respect to interaction and questions, I really do encourage questions. Please give me a short sign, but don't throw it immediately in, because sometimes I have a train of thought and which I want to complete. And then if you give me a sign, I can do the break and then we can discuss. That's all the technical thing. Then the other thing, which is also very important, because I've studied from teachers myself and don't want to dilute anything, it might be that I myself do mistakes. So therefore, it's even more important that we really follow the approach that the Buddha taught, which was being like a goldsmith. I don't know if any one of you have heard it already. There's a quote which I really, really like, which I'm going to read out. or bhikshus. For those who don't know, these are those fully ordained monks. I personally also include the nuns here, so the bhikshunis, and the wise, which don't have to be nuns, monks, anything. They don't even have to be Buddhists. So anyone, this is really an advice for anyone. So, O bhikshus and the wise, just like a goldsmith tests gold by burning, cutting, and rubbing it, so you must examine my words and accept them, but not merely out of reverence. So what this means is we have different types of wisdom that can develop. And the second one develops through contemplation, through an investigation, through analysis. And only then also it will have a very strong impact on your mind. So therefore, if you find something that doesn't make sense, or if you find something that is kind of not relating to you, please bring it up in our discussion. Or if it's something that you yourself just think it just doesn't work for me, don't immediately throw it away, but you can, as Geshe Kesa Wamo always says, you put it on a shelf and you leave it there for as long as it has to stay there. And maybe at some point in time you can just take it off, or take it again and look at it. Maybe now it makes some more sense, maybe it still doesn't make sense, and maybe it will never make sense, also fine. So we are not trying to missionize or do anything like that. Then also, which is you're already an existing group, but that is something important for me also. If somebody would have, because I personally have cases in my own family and friends who have strong mental illnesses and sicknesses, diseases. So if there's a strong mental health issue, please consult your doctors. I have no profession around that, so I cannot take any responsibility about that. And then it should really be checked with your own doctors if this is something which is beneficial or not. And then since we're not so many people, would be wonderful if we maybe, most probably you already know each other, but I would like to know you as well. So if the people who are online are fine as well, and if you are fine here as well, maybe each and every one of us could introduce each other a little bit. Just tell me your names and maybe take a minute for now. Not everybody has pen and paper, but you can just think about it for it yourself. 3 things, and you already know, but 3 things that you know about meditation, and 1 thing, like 3 things that you know about meditation, and what is meditation. That's 1 exercise. And then the next one is, or you can also just mention 1, also fine. Just what is meditation for you. And then the next thing, just so that I know what understanding are we on. And then the second thing is, what I would like you to tell is, what's your motivation for being here? What's your aim, or what do you want to gain from this course? So I look at the time, I give 1 minute, you can just think about it, and then you can write it down. If you have something to write down, it's very beneficial, because maybe, most probably for you guys not, because you are already such a long time group, maybe in those 8 weeks, maybe they change. So that's nice then to see. So I give you a minute. Okay, once you're ready and you feel like you know, you can lift your hand so that I know. Okay, then I will check online first. So there we have relaxation, peace, and vipassana. And name, I think, yeah. Who else has, maybe we just start from here, and then you can say what yeah, your name and your motivation and the things that you've heard or think you know about meditation.
My name is Sabina. I'm here because I became part of this group almost since the beginning, and I love it. It's like my family, and yeah, I just realized how beneficial it is for me to be here, and so I don't have any specific expectations for this course, but meditation is what got me into Buddhism. So I'm always happy and curious to learn more from different teachers. And for me, meditation is to practice to stay present and to watch my mind, be curious about my mind.
Thank you.
So my name is Teres, and I think the motivation to in this course is to find the maybe more regular practice of meditation. And what meditation is for me, I think it's to become familiar with like states of mind that benefits me and be able to realize the state of mind which makes me feel bad and to learn to let them go.
Thank you. What about you, Jeff?
Jeff?
Hello.
Motivation. I mean, you could say that there's no happiness in the bar, so come to the meditation center.
Since there is happiness here.
But I think meditation, what I think it for me is understanding and clarity.
Understanding and clarity.
And it's not only spiritual, just any analytical understanding and clarity. And what I want to get out of this course is to get not one step, but 2 steps closer to enlightenment.
That's big aspiration. It's amazing. I'm afraid that I don't get you like 2 steps backwards. Try my best.
That's why I was with 2, so the 1 back.
Okay. Thank you.
Nina. Why I'm here? For years I tried to get to know my mind and work on it to become a better person, kinder person, more beneficial person, eventually an enlightened person. I don't know if it's gonna happen in the next 3 months, but anyways, what is meditation for me? It's the way to do that. I spent many years at the university studying and memorizing things. Did not make me any happier. It gave me a whole lot of knowledge, and I think that it is also a danger of becoming a Buddhist scholar, and it becomes a kind of encyclopedia of knowledge, but doesn't change anything in our mind. And since my goal is to work on my mind, meditation is the way or technique to do that.
Thank you. What about you, Talia?
Wow. I'm like, I can pick one. Just the things that going on.
Everyone's
Okay, so it's already been
Also,
said.
if it causes some anxiety, because I know some people who feel very, very anxious when they have to speak in front of others. You don't have to.
No, I wish.
Like,
real friends.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm Talia. Wow. So Tuesdays is always quite interesting for everyone because everyone comes, it's really great. So, well, initially I'm here to support, but also of course I meditation is something I think for me that I still need to have a habit of it. But also at the same time, there's 2 types of meditation that one can do personally. One that does not require sitting, and the one that requires sitting. The one that doesn't require sitting seems to be easier for me to come along because it's like you stay present and you're mindful of what comes up. But what comes to the sitting meditation, it is it has a different flavor for me, and that's something I would like to cultivate more for me, is to actually, when we actually have a real taste of what awareness is, you know, like the qualities of awareness, that you're full awareness, and that's not something you can do when you're not sitting. That's how I feel. Like you need to really set aside time and let things settle. And then I talk too much anyway, so that's I thought, that I could definitely use more of that, and also learn to kind of, you know, different ways to approach that as well.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What about you?
Hi, I'm Chantal, and actually my motivation is that I'm here to learn some techniques on how to meditate in a way that doesn't distract me that much as it does for me. Like for a couple of years I'm trying to meditate with different techniques, but I haven't found yet my perfect way, I guess. And it's always interesting to learn more, and like so intensely now, and to find out more about all those different ways how to meditate. And it's really to calm the mind. So this is also what I think is the meditation is for, so that you don't have inside all those distractions, and to be able to focus. This is what I have difficulties sometimes to really focus on.
I think you're not alone.
Welcome humanity.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
What was your name again? Chantal.
Chantal.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What about you?
Hi, I'm Fabienne. Everything that everyone said. I've been part of this group for about 1.5 years now, and also since then I meditate. Sometimes more, sometimes less, and for me it's always easier if I'm in a group, or if there's a course like this over several weeks. I know, okay, Tuesday, I'm all in. And to me, meditation really helps to calm my mind, and also to look at certain problems I think I have, and then to actually see how they truly are, and that I was actually wrong.
Not always easier and comfortable.
No. And sometimes it goes much better, and sometimes I'm super distracted and I try to stay with one technique, and then I'm like, okay, this doesn't work, and then I jump around and I'm all over the place. So maybe different teachers always bring new insights. I'm also really looking forward to that.
I have a question.
Yes.
Online, can they hear us?
I will ask them one more time. Can you hear us? Can you give us a sign if you can hear us? Oh, yes. Good. At least one person is responding, the other one. Helena, can you hear us as well? Well, anyway, what to do? So, thank you very much. I think I really appreciate your time and your openness also. Let's talk about the etymology of the word meditation for a second. The word is in Tibetan gom, and gom itself actually means nothing but, okay, Helena can hear us. She made thumbs up. Yes. So hello. If you want to introduce yourself and say the same thing, you can as well. You can unmute yourself and say something as well. Otherwise, we can move on as you wish. I wait 1 second and see if you respond. She sends a heart. So please feel all included in this heart. Okay, I got you. So gom, the word gom actually means nothing but to familiarize, to habituate ourselves with certain types of beneficial states of mind. But actually it's only to familiarize ourselves. So we already know what actually meditation is. We just haven't really maybe found the things that are helpful for us to familiarize ourselves with. So that's actually not because I think sometimes meditation becomes like this big thing, and we feel it's something completely different from our day-to-day life, but we know already how the mechanism works. So then the other thing is, some of you said things like calming the mind or finding more peace in the mind. These are all things that can happen due to meditation, but these are not meditation itself. So when we are, or they can be part of meditation. But meditation itself doesn't have to be comfortable, doesn't have to be non-comfortable. It can be super easy, it can be very difficult, but in itself it's just the habituation, just familiarizing ourselves to get more to know our mind and positive and beneficial states of our minds. So therefore we already can like get a little bit rid of this idea how meditation has to be, because it doesn't have to be any way. And that, at least for me personally, gives me a little bit ease, because sometimes when we sit, I feel like it has to be like this for me to feel I'm actually progressing. Or why am I doing it if I don't feel the pleasurable sensations coming? Am I even meditating? How we meditate, we will make some exercises and make some tests for us that we actually know, oh yeah, we are meditating, and oh yes, I actually know that I am still meditating. Then another thing, when I ask you like what's your motivation to being here, some of us said like yeah, to get to know more the know more the mind, go more towards enlightenment, like these great aspirations. But where do they come from? Like why, like, to make it even more blunt, why are we sitting here right now? And I think you all already know where I'm trying to get to, but maybe one of us can say, why are we sitting here right now? Why do you drink a cup of coffee? Yes, please. Suffering. So you drink coffee because you want to suffer?
Distracts me from the suffering.
It distracts you from the suffering. And distraction of suffering feels like what?
Happiness.
Like happiness. Right. So to make it very simple, very good. To make it very simple, we want to have happiness and we don't want to suffer. And one thing that Mingyur Rinpoche taught, which I really found so profound, he said, each and every moment we have those two wishes, to not wanting to suffer and to wanting to have happiness. And these two wishes actually are nothing else than loving kindness and compassion. So each and every moment we can have, and we actually do have, in a very subtle, we have the seeds, or we have this very little wish, which is actually loving kindness and compassion each and every moment. So that I find something really, really beautiful. And those experiences when we drink our coffee, where do we feel those happiness? Where do we feel the distraction from suffering? Where do you feel this? When you come here and you're sitting here and you feel, let's say some of us feel today a little bit bored, some of us dragged ourselves here and said, okay, I'm gonna come, I committed to this cause, I feel guilty if I don't come because this is the group and there's coming this new person, so we'll feel very, very bad. Some of you might feel like this, and other people would be, great, I really wanted to come again, I want to see the group. So when you have those different experiences and states of mind, where does it, oh, I already said it. Where does it happen?
Did you say it?
Yeah, I did say
In our
it.
mind.
In our minds,
Ah,
right?
okay. I kept thinking our heart.
I did give you a hand. I made it too easy.
us.
Well, it's not a quiz. It's not a quiz. So it's happening in our mind. So, but right now it seems like we're not so much in control of our mind. As we said, all of us kind of want to have this stable meditation practice, and somehow we don't always manage. And I myself include myself into that. So we now here together try to learn ways in which we learn more how to get more control over this mind. And one thing that also Mingyur Rinpoche says is really, really nice, that when you want your coffee and you want to distract yourself from the suffering that you have, who's telling you, I want coffee? It's an uncontrolled mind. It's a mind that is completely out of control. And how Mingyur Rinpoche says, it's like a monkey mind. And I don't know if any one of you has ever been to India. Who of you has? Okay,
India?
yeah. Or any Asian place where you have lots of free monkeys, you don't want to be around them when they're piling up in a trash bin. And they like when you go close and you want to throw your rubbish over there, you better don't go there because they make a mess. And then imagine putting a monkey in a room and you close all the windows, you close all the doors. You don't want that. And I've been in a room with a monkey once, but it was extremely scary. So I can tell you, you really don't want that. But this is what we're having the whole time. We're having actually a monkey within our own mind, in a sense, who's telling us the whole time what to do, completely out of control. Oh, that looks so nice. I want this. And who follows? We follow this idea of I want some pleasure. I want some distraction. I want some. And this is quite sad because, as we said earlier, all of us just want to be happy, and not only us but everybody else, all of us just want to be happy, and this is a heart desire that everyone is deserving to have fulfilled. And those movements by this monkey mind is actually a sign that we have this this longing, but somehow it's not really directed in a positive way. So the way that I'm going to structure, or that we are going to structure this course, is in two parts. There are two main types of meditations. I mean, there are plenty of meditation types, but what Tibetan Buddhism did, they summarized all of those courses into two main categories. The first category is stabilizing meditation or calm abiding meditation. I think in Sanskrit also sometimes referred to as shamatha meditation. I think all of you know about that. And then we have the second part, which is analytical meditations. And these analytical meditations, then again, at least the way that I do it, I subdivide them again into two. I subdivide them into those which open our hearts, which makes us cultivate qualities like loving kindness, compassion, which make us reach out. And we have those meditations which allow us to have more insight into our own misconceptions, insight into our own wisdom that exists, and trying to investigate how do things really exist, why all these why questions, why do we suffer in the first place. So these are, if we want to have it like a diagram, we first have meditation, which is just to familiarize ourselves, and then we have two main things. We have stabilizing meditation. Most of you know that. Sorry. Tomorrow, after in the second session, we're gonna have most probably some things that doesn't sound boring for you. And then the second part, we have analytical meditations, and among that we again can subdivide it into two: heart opening practices and insight practices, wisdom practices. So the first thing that we need to do is they go together, but the first thing that we do here is putting more focus on the stabilizing meditations. And often we don't have it explicitly spoken out, but also there are two main approaches how we can do it. Mainly what we learned is, I think, here, especially in the Gelug traditions, we learn mainly object-oriented meditations, which means you use, for example, your breath, and the object becomes your breath. You focus your mind on the breath, and that's it. You stay there, and you try to keep with the breath all the time. But then there's also a second type of meditation, which is subject-oriented meditation. You can still use the object, the breath, but here it's not so much about the breath itself, it's about knowing the breath. So you recognize that you know the breath. And then it's not a big deal if, for example, you said, sometimes I'm trying to stick with the same meditation technique, but after a week I need to do something else. So then there's no problem doing something else, because the main object is your subject, meaning is the mind itself. So then if you're completely bored by the breath, and I sometimes feel the same, I sit for 20 minutes and I can't bear it anymore, in, out, in, out, in, out, and I get bored. And in the beginning, since we're all beginners, we need to keep our mind fresh. So then it's fine to switch to a different object. And in order to make maybe a little experiment, maybe we could, for maybe 1 minute or 2 minutes, not longer than that, make a little exercise in order to get to know the monkey mind, which you all most probably know. I know my monkey mind very well. To get to know the monkey mind and to also get to know mind itself. So there are two main qualities that mind has, awareness has. One main quality is that it's always knowing. So our mind always knows. It doesn't really matter what. It can also know rubbish, but it still knows. And the second thing is that our mind always has a certain kind of clarity in which things can appear. So in order to understand what this means, maybe can you tell me one of your food that you ate today, which everybody knows? A food that everybody knows.
Apple.
An apple. What did you say?
Dal.
Dal also great. But I think, what would you prefer? Raise a hand for dal or raise, okay, first, who is for dal? Who is for apple? 3. I don't know the onliners because they don't show. But then we go for dal. You all can imagine, okay, for a second, please sit in a meditation posture. If you know what this means, great. If you don't know what this means, never mind. We'll talk about the posture later a little bit. Okay. So for this exercise, please close your eyes. And then just rest for one moment and allow yourself to just be. You don't really have to think about meditating. Just allow yourself to be. And then slowly, in the space in front of you, you can visualize really tasty dal with rice maybe. Maybe it's on a pot, maybe it's in a plate. Okay, that's it already. Who of you could see dal? Who of you couldn't see dal?
I could feel my stomach anticipating the dal.
Oh, are you hungry?
No.
Okay.
But it's amazing.
Yeah, it's crazy, huh?
Like it activates something.
Yeah, the power of the mind, I'm telling you. Well, for those of you who could see dal, the image of you having dal means that you have clarity. If you wouldn't have a mind, dal couldn't appear. So that mere appearance of something appearing is meaning you have a certain kind of, you have, this is the word clarity is sometimes difficult, but you have feature of the mind that allows things to appear. And all of you raised their hand when I asked, did you see dal? And that means apart from you, but you could say, I recognize something else happening. So since you raised your hand and knowing that means you knew, means you had knowing. So in each and every moment we have those two qualities which are within the mind. So that's something that becomes very beneficial at a later moment in time. So now we want to do a different exercise with sounds. I'm going to use the spell. I've never gonged it, so I have no idea how it sounds. Huh?
It's high pitched.
Oh, nice. So we're gonna use sound, and we want to use sound meditation. But in order to know how to do sound meditation, first we need to know how to listen to sound. So when we sit here and meditate, before we do that, we first just listen to sound. So you don't really have to worry about doing anything right or wrong. Just listen to sound. Are the instructions clear? Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Who of you listen sound?
What?
Who of you listen to the sound? Sorry, who of you? I didn't listen to the sound. What did you say? So sorry. By the way, if I'm talking too quick or if I'm talking very unclear, you always have to tell me, because this sometimes happens. So all of us, you listen to sound. Now the next step is we're gonna meditate on sound. So now the difference is that there is absolutely no difference. Before we listen 24 hours to sound. Okay? Since we're born, since when we sleep, they kind of go down, so we don't really recognize it. But that's the whole part, or the whole point is that now, when I tell you please listen to sound, you're completely aware of the fact that you're listening to sound. And if I ask you now, what's the difference between listening to sound and meditating on sound, what would you answer? What do you think would be the difference between listening to sound or meditating on sound?
No difference.
No difference. But then don't you, when you are in the train and you read a book, are you meditating then on sound?
No, but I'm also not really listening, I guess.
But doesn't sound come into your ear?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think you're using a different consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of the sound consciousness when you're focusing on the sound,
Mm-hmm.
or if you're meditating on sound that doesn't exist, then I'm maybe using a different consciousness, the mind consciousness.
Well, technically speaking, in Logic, they explain that there's only one consciousness that knows sound. It's only the ear consciousness.
Yeah.
And so whether you're meditating on sound or whether you are listening to sound just in general, it's still the ear consciousness itself which knows sound. So it's still kind of the same consciousness. The difference is that now you're recognizing that you're listening to sound. It's that simple. Before you listen to sound, and now you recognize that you're listening to sound. And that's already it. There's nothing special about meditation in stabilizing meditation. Because the recognition itself of doing something, this knowing of doing something, is meditation. So therefore, one thing that is amazing that we can really, in the end, meditate anywhere at any point in time, wherever we are. But in the beginning, we are so distracted by the monkey that we cannot do it long time. So usually when we are, for example, sitting in a train, we listen to the sound the whole time, but we're not deciding, oh, I'm recognizing I'm listening to sound. And that decision makes it meditation. So if you want to establish a continuous meditation practice, one thing that is very important is to make very, very short times in the beginning, and also count the little moments when you decide I'm listening now consciously. Because often I think we only count the things when we're sitting in meditation and do the formal practice, which is very important, I absolutely agree, but the spaces in between, when we just decide, oh, for 30 seconds now, I'm going to listen to sound and know that I'm listening to sound. If we count this, then we feel the joy about and the joy of meditating, the joy also of getting in touch with our awareness. Because as I said earlier, we are not so much, at least the technique that I'm going to present, is the focus is really on the subject. So here, it doesn't matter if the object is very clear, it doesn't matter if you're super distracted, as long as you know that you are. And when I ask you about the dal, or when you listen to the sound, did you have different thoughts appearing as well, or was it very clear?
It's never clean.
It's never clean. It's never clean and clear. Do you think because it's very unclean and unclear and you still have thoughts coming, your meditation is less, having less quality? I personally must say, I did and sometimes still feel like this. I still often feel so frustrated if I sit down to meditate and still feel like, oh, now I want to meditate, and it just I feel like it just doesn't work, and I still judge myself for that. And then we need to find a way in which we find the joy, because we know it's not about the object. We know it, the mind will go up and down every time. The mind will go up and down. In our lives will go up and down. We don't have really much control in the beginning of what happens in meditation. But what always is a factor of really great comfort, as long as we know, as long as in the end you can say, oh, I know this time my meditation was all over the place. Since you know that, it means there was a stream of awareness, because meditation is in the end coming back to awareness on mind. And what is the main quality of mind? Knowing. So if you know, you can be very happy, you have done an amazing job. Doesn't matter what happened during it. So, but we have to have this long breath in the beginning, this courage to say, oh yeah, it's gonna be all over the place, but as long as I know in the end, it means I have done a good job, and we can pat ourselves on the back and say, well done, and rejoice in that. And then very automatically, slowly, if we continue doing like this, the mind will eventually get into meditation mode, get into the mode of, okay, calming down, being more relaxed, being more stable. But if this is the main aim in the beginning that we want to, then we become very, very tight. And this tightness is actually a very great hindrance and harm to the openness and spaciousness of saying, oh, I'm sitting here and whatever comes, may it be allowed. So the stabilizing kind of meditation in the beginning is to just befriend our mind, to not fight against what is happening during meditation and what is happening during our lives. But do you have then the feeling when I'm saying you, well, you shouldn't fight and it's okay, you just know, do you have the feeling, well, that I'm just running after my thoughts? Do you have the feeling, am I asking the question clearly? I don't know. But if you are meditating and you're trying not to fight it, do you feel like the only possible option then that you're having is following it? Sometimes. Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. What about the others?
Yeah, in theory, I know I could just watch them.
Yeah.
But practically, so often it happens that I just follow them,
Yeah.
and I'm realizing, oh, my mind's all over the place, and I'm not aware.
Yeah, but at the moment, and that's wonderful. At the moment of you realizing, oh, my mind is all over the place, that is it. That is actually the most precious moment in meditation, I personally find. These little moments, there you have introspection. You have introspection coming in. You have clarity coming in. You have knowingness, meaning you have awareness. At these moments, you have awareness, and then slowly after time, those little moments will become bigger and bigger and bigger. And in the moment, we can meditate 10 minutes and we have 3 of those moments, and or maybe 2. And we have been daydreaming all the time, but instead of valuing the meditation on in the terms of, oh, we have had now 10 minutes and 9 of them I was completely all over the place, we should value those 3 moments, because those 3 moments means we are coming in contact with the nature of our own mind, because those knowing moments are actually coming back to the nature of our minds. And that is amazing. That is fantastic, because in the end, all that meditation is going to lead you to is to get to know the nature of your own mind. And that is a beautiful gift. So since now an hour is already passed, maybe we could make a little break here. And then afterwards, we're going to have a longer session on stabilizing meditation using the breath, little discussion. And then we're going to have, if we have time, I think it's until 9, we're going to have a meditation, an analytical meditation, heart opening practice, to get in touch with that as well. And yeah, is there anything that you want to talk about, or is there any point that you have a question about before that? Otherwise, I would say we can just move our discussions upstairs and drink some tea and go to the toilet. Yes.
I just have a really general question. If I'm not able to come here for one Tuesday, is it like really building on each other, or is it okay to
I mean, you're a free person, so absolutely it's fine to miss. I am going to build on top, but since I am giving you different tools, and so basically each and every week I give you new tools, even though they are supportive for each other. If one day you're not there, you just don't have those particular two tools, but you still have all the others.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we are putting this on YouTube.
Oh,
So
cool.
this is
So
a
I can
catch
still
up.
watch it.
Okay.
Unless you're not okay with
Oh
it.
yeah,
I
I'm
haven't
okay with
really
that.
asked.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. And one thing also for anyone, I mean, you already, most probably all of you have your personal teachers and so forth, as whom you can ask questions to. But in case you want to ask personal things, I can only say I'm not qualified to answer anything on your own spiritual level. But if you just want to talk about something, I'm absolutely here and free and happy to talk with you about that. But I cannot promise that this is going to be of much benefit. But yeah, that's I still want to offer this space for you. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Oh well. Okay. So maybe to not waste too much of our wonderful time, quick review of what we've talked about before. Meditation itself is about familiarization. Familiarization with what? Getting to know our mind. What is mind? What is the essence of meditation, as Mingyur Rinpoche likes to say it? The essence of meditation, as he likes to say it, is awareness. Meaning, whenever you recognize something, it means you have awareness. And since we're wanting to get to know awareness and we're wanting to, familiarize ourselves with the essence of the mind, whenever we have this recognition, we are on the path, regardless of how our experience is. So that's great. We have to keep this in mind as a reminder for us to feel a little bit more soft on ourselves, because I think we in the West tend to be quite harsh, since we have also in like in school, we have you either did it correctly or did it wrong, or we have this, or you get the job or you didn't get the job. So it's always like this harsh thing, and we value ourselves by how much we have succeeded. Whereas in meditation, you don't have to succeed in a sense. By you letting go of the idea of succeeding, you are stepping towards success. But if we tend so much to, or hold so much onto this idea of succeeding, and I have to get somewhere, we often kind of lose ourselves in this idea of where we have to be. Then there are two main types of meditation, which is stabilizing meditation, analytical meditation. For the stabilizing meditation, I've just done a very short, tricky exercise with you, which was listening to sound. And this is something that I would like you to check during this week, if maybe in day-to-day activities, if you recognize sound, or if you listen to sound, maybe try to, at least once a day, try to see if you recognize that you're listening to sound. Do you understand? Like, you have sound here, you have the listening to the sound here, and then kind of behind that you have the recognition of that. So try, if you at least once a day, especially when they're annoying sounds, or when somebody screams at you, or when your boss says, "This was not correct," then you, that sound, that is supposed to be aggressive, that sounds quite loud, interesting. So then you're not so much involved in the story. So that gives already this little gap of not being so overwhelmed. Or when we have, when we have to concentrate, when we meditate and we have to want to concentrate, and we have those sounds coming in, this bees or whatever kind of animals we have, or like some of us living in the city, we have those sounds. Oh, interesting, that sound. And then you just switch the object, but since we are subjectively oriented, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you switched your sound. I think all of us maybe have already had some meditation before, and often we are like, you should stick to your breath no matter what. And now here, it's sometimes, especially for me, it was in the beginning a little bit of a struggle, having the feeling of, but if I'm not focusing on the breath anymore, I lost my object of meditation, so I'm not meditating anymore. But here, since we're focusing on the awareness itself, the object is just a support. So it's okay. It's okay if the breath doesn't work anymore. It's okay to move to sound because sound is so evidently present right now. So then we can use that. And then we can be joyful about that. Oh, another gift that's just arose in my space. How wonderful I can use that as support for getting to know my own awareness. So that's just as a little hint. And then this whole idea of stabilizing meditation is to become friends with our mind, to stop this game of pushing away what we don't like and grasping and following this crazy monkey. Now we're wanting to befriend and just welcome whatever comes. Okay, I welcome you. You're also part of my mind. In the end, everything that comes only comes from the wish to wanting to be happy, and that needs to be looked at. And that is a beautiful quality. So even if we have, or let's say maybe from a personal point of view, I myself have not always been friend with myself, and I myself am not always friend still with my own mind. So I'm still on this process at all, like really, really strongly. And maybe personally, especially in this teenage ages, which can be very difficult. I remember very well before I went to India at the age of 16. Before that, I had you could say some people have, like, everyone has their own story. So I also have my own story. I lost my mother when I was quite young, and then I always thought about all the suffering, and then I had so many people around me suffering, and I myself was just looking at it, was so overwhelmed. And I had, one of my main issues is guilt, and I still is, but I'm working on it. So guilt, like this thing of, oh, I feel so guilty. I try to help somebody, and then in the end, this is, by the way, something that often happens to me, trying to help somebody because somebody asked, and in the end it turns out that I did it even worse. So I came with this motivation, I just want to help, and I just made it worse. So then I had this huge guilt and didn't know how to really deal with that. So then I had this wonderful, insightful moment when I was on my plane to India. I had to have I was all by myself. I was 16 years old. I was completely tired. I was dehydrated. It was 30 degrees or even more, even inside of the airport, or even more. I don't know. I felt super hot. I was sweaty, more than now. And outside it was gray and dark. And I was sitting there, and I still had to wait for another 6 hours for my next plane. And I had no idea where I would be going. I had no idea if somebody's going to pick me up. I had no address where to go, and I didn't have any water anymore, and I was too stingy to buy myself a water bottle. So I was thinking, and I think I didn't even have rupees yet. So this is the Indian currency. So I was a little bit like, where am I? What is happening? So I looked outside, and I looked in this window, and on one hand felt this anxiousness, and on the other hand I had a smile on my face. And I recognized that I'm having this smile on my face, and I was wondering why on the hell, I think this is the expression that people use, I don't know, why the hell, maybe people say, at this point of time I was like teenagers. Why am I having a smile on my face right now? Nothing externally is giving me an impression to smile right now. And at this point in time, I was the first time recognizing, oh, it's all within my own mind. I am having some control, and I am allowed to choose which direction I want to go. And from that time onwards, I really made this very strong decision for the next year where I'm going to be in India. This is going to be my main focus. My main focus is going to be getting to know my own mind, getting to know my own habits and habitual patterns that exist within my mind, and choosing each and every time to do that which leads me to happiness. And I'm still in this process, but still, this was a very insightful moment for me. And I think the reason why I'm talking about that is because I think all of us have had, or are having, or going to have those little moments of getting to know our minds. And meditation is one tool to do that. And therefore, we need in the beginning to have at least a little bit of stability, but we also need to have lots of gentleness, kindness with ourselves. And I think also, especially in our culture, one thing that we also, I invite all of us to learn, is to just relax. The more we relax, the more just comes flying to us. It's really like that, I feel, because we have in our culture, we have already the drive, we already have like we have many wonderful qualities, but one really radical thing in our culture to just relax. When people, it's already radical for us. When people stress out, and what are you doing tomorrow, and how are you gonna earn your money, and how will you, and you're like, I'm relaxed about it, and people are like, what? so that's already quite an achievement. So in order to get there, maybe we could this time use the breath as a way, since it is often in many traditions the first thing that we get introduced to. With respect to sitting, I think all of you know already how to sit. Does anyone of you need to have or wants to have like a quick reminder on how the best way to sit? Or do you all feel like very comfortable with that?
I'd like to hear your version.
Okay, so there officially there's like a 7-point posture which is being taught. That can be very nicely just summarized up into 2, which is the main thing. Have a nice spine which is straightly nice and loose, and everything else is just relaxed. That is something that you can do at any moment in time. You don't have to sit cross-legged for that, because I've never said you have to sit like this. So meaning, if you're driving in your car and you're having a spine which is relatively straight, having a spine is already well. And having a spine which is straight, that's already it. If you then relax your whole body, you can already meditate. But it is good to maybe mention, in case there are people listening to that at a different point in time, the 7-point posture has the legs, and the ideal, as it's explained, is to sitting in full lotus, meaning you have one foot on the opposite thigh and the other way around. Most of us do not know how to do that. We didn't grow up sitting cross-legged. Even that can be difficult for people. So then you can have one in front, you can have half lotus, you can have both like in front of each other, you can have just cross-legged. Even though I think Venerable Namgyal in one of his teachings, he once said, sitting this cross-legs as we usually do often is not so supportive, because it kind of, I don't know, pushes a little bit the blood so that you don't have much blood flowing through it. So it's a lot of pressure. But my main thing is, each and every one of us has an extremely individual body, and we know what's best for ourselves. And please trust that, regardless of what people say, in the end, you need to know your own body, and that's the same for meditation and your own mind. Then you can also sit, I think you don't have it, I didn't see it. We have meditation benches, which are very supportive for some people. So if you have one, try it out. And they also have different sizes, so just because one doesn't work, might be that you have different one which does work. Then if cross-leg is just absolutely not impossible, can use a chair. Then it is important to sit not very at the back, but more like also on a cushion. It's important to sit more on the edge. And I personally usually don't sit on a round one. And I was always struggling because I always had like those ones. And Geshe Marquesa was so kind in one of her teachings. She made an amazing trick. You want to know that it's like a magic trick. She said, okay, you have the cushion. Now I give you the most amazing trick. Just turn it like this. It was for me, it was the best thing. Since now I'm sitting always on the corner, and such a relief. So it works way better. Then when you're sitting on the chair, most important is that your feet are flat on the ground. And some people don't have chairs which are low enough, so then you don't have to cut off the legs of the chair. You can just put a pillow below. So that is also very helpful. And then next thing is the hands. So some in the traditional way, we have one on top of the other, your thumbs touching. That doesn't have to be, but one way it has a nice symbolism, meaning compassion and wisdom are working together, one lie in the other, and they are also connected. Then the other nice thing is that when we are getting very dull and sleepy, sometimes they're loose. And then this is another reminder, oh, I got lost. All right, back to meditation, right? So that can be helpful. I personally like it for me as a reminder of wisdom and compassion, and they are so important both. And the only reason why I want to, and this is my own personal thing, I think stabilizing meditation in the West is already having an amazing benefit, but it can be a sidetrack or it can be a spiritual bypass, because the only reason why we want to meditate and why we want to cultivate stabilization is in order to generate both wisdom and compassion. Why? Not because somebody says so, but if you only gonna practice stabilizing meditation, eventually, and you don't develop and cultivate kindness, eventually, even though it has many qualities, it can be very dangerous for you actually to slip off and go in a bad direction, and then you suffer even more than before. So we don't want to suffer, and the only ways to overcome suffering is to cultivate warm-heartedness towards ourselves and to others, and to cultivate wisdom. So this is a nice reminder. And otherwise, you can do all those different mudras, whatever works for you. Or you can just put them on your knees. Then the arms is there's a funny story. Anyway, this I'm not telling because we don't have enough time. But not now. I tell it at a different time. But arms is just important that you have some space. As you can see, I'm sweating right now. So it's helpful to have like a little bit of space so that you have some air coming through. But then I personally the instruction is originally try to have your thumbs near your belly button. And I was always completely confused because it somehow never worked out. Either too low, either too high. Maybe my belly button is at a strange place. I don't know. So we all have individual bodies. Just have it relaxed in your lap. Don't think too much about it. Then the next thing is the spine. I think you all know. Here also not like militarily straight, but just relaxedly straight and loose. And then the neck kind of just naturally is in line with that, and with that also the head comes. And if you're sitting a lot in front of the computer, you will notice a difference between sitting like this and then just pulling your upper hair, if you have hair. You all have. No, because sometimes when I talk about these things and I say like, just take some hair, and then those people with no hair, they say, hey, what should we do? So yeah, you all have hair. You can just pull it up, and then you have like your hair nicely aligned, your head nicely aligned. So you don't want to have it too much up, otherwise you have a lot of thoughts coming, and you also don't want to have it too much down, otherwise it's very easy to fall asleep, very easy to go like this. And then the mouth and jaw also, they say, and do you know when you try to focus on your tongue, it's very difficult to not focus on your tongue anymore. So therefore I'm saying, often they say it's good to have like the mouth really relaxed and loose, and to have the tongue touching just behind the teeth on the upper palate. But again, that doesn't work for everyone. They say that not all of these things are not because we need to sit like this. Meditation is a mental process, so we can meditate wherever we want and in whatever position. But it is supportive because here, for example, it helps us to have a nice saliva production, which is in a good amount. So not too much, not too little. And also just have everything relaxed and loose. And I think a lot of people, I have one friend who I can see when he's tensed, I can see it in his jaw. So a lot of people, some people carry it in the shoulders, some people in the stomach, and some people in the jaw, and some in all of them. So when you recognize you're really tight, just relax also that, and you can even sometimes do like that. And then the next thing is the eyes. So the eyes, if you're new to meditation, a lot of people like to close their eyes. That is okay in the beginning, but it is really much advised to, by time, learn how to at least have a little bit of light coming through. I think that is, personally, I think in the beginning it's fine, whatever works well for you. And as Yongzhe Khyentse Rinpoche says, I really like that, he says about somebody asking about pilgrimages, like, why do people do pilgrimage? We can meditate anywhere. Why do people go on pilgrimage? I don't really understand. And that's just paraphrasing. That's my understanding of what he said. Then his comment to that was, whatever helps us as a beginner, we should take it. Whatever cricket we can is it called cricket?
Crutch.
Crutch, not cricket. That's the game, right? Whatever crutch. We use whatever helps us because we are complete beginners. We like learning how to walk. So whatever is helpful for you, use it. So we don't have to prove ourselves to anyone, not ourselves. So therefore, if closing your eyes in the beginning is helpful, then go for it. But there is a huge benefit by opening the eyes, because if we close our eyes, it's one, very easy to get dull and sleepy, and secondly, we kind of disconnect to the world. And while opening the eyes, it's going to be more easy to integrate the things that we experience in meditation to our daily lives. So therefore, by just allowing a little bit of light coming through, it's going to be much easier in the end. And then in the end, you can even open fully if you like, but it doesn't really matter. Again, what's most beneficial for you, and the small version is just straight, have a spine, have a spine, which is nicely straight. and then just everything else relaxed. Great. With that, please find a nice and comfortable meditation posture. And if you like, you can, for some time, without even thinking that you have to meditate, just rest. And just allow yourself to be. And if it is beneficial for you, you can close your eyes. And scan through your body. Relax all the muscles in your body, in your face. Allow it to be like this of a sleeping baby. Neck and shoulders. And you can move down the arms. The upper body. And the lower body. And you can go down the legs up to the feet. Just relax every muscle. Now, just breathe normally. Let your body breathe itself. And wherever you recognize your breath, throughout your body. Just be with that. And whenever any kind of thoughts come up, that's okay. You don't have to push them away. You also don't have to give them much interest. That's okay. As long as you continue to just recognize that there is breath. And then you can make your focus a little bit more subtle by focusing just on the area of the abdomen, the belly. The belly arising when you breathe in and sinking down when you breathe out. And you might see many other thoughts arising together with that. That's okay. That's totally fine. You can just recognize that and still be aware of the breath. And then for some time, if you like, you can open your eyes. And you don't have to do anything. Just allow yourself to be with what is. Okay. How was it? Sleeping? Okay. So again, the same thing as before. The idea, like when we did the sound meditation, the idea of me meditating, me having to meditate, sometimes can stand in the way of actually meditating, of actually just recognizing the breath, or of actually just being aware of whatever object you focus on. So, who of you had thoughts? Okay. While you had thoughts, did you have you been still aware of your own breath? Was it sometimes possible to have thoughts and breath at the same time? Did you then try to sometimes push them away? Oh, yeah? Yeah. Okay, different exercise. It's gonna not take even a minute. The pushing away exercise. Just for us to really clarify how helpful it is trying to push away things. We had the dal, right? But before we had an apple. Does everybody like apple? You don't like apple. What is the fruit that you like very much?
Fruit?
Yes.
All those ones that grew in Taiwan. Like lychee?
Lychee. Does everybody like lychee? Not everybody likes lychee. Okay. Maybe you mention a fruit that everybody likes.
Pineapple?
Pineapple. Does everybody like pineapple? Yes, yes, yes. Oh no! Mango. Does everybody like mango? No! Oh no! Banana. Okay, you mentioned another one.
Strawberry.
Strawberry. Okay, everybody's fine with strawberry. So you're all having a mental image of a strawberry. Okay? So now I give you 1 minute, and you're allowed to think about everything. Okay? Just think, I count from 3, 2, 1 down, and you're allowed to think of everything, like whatever you like. You can think about ananas, pineapple, strawberry, lychee, whatever, but you're not allowed to think about strawberry. Okay? So, everything but strawberry. And you know how a strawberry looks, right? Okay. You also know how it tastes. Yeah, okay. Okay. So we're counting. So I'm counting down from 3, 2, 1. We have 1 minute. You're allowed to think of everything but a strawberry. Try your very best. It's very important. Twenty more seconds. No strawberry. Okay. Did everyone and any one of you manage to not think of strawberry? Did you? Amazing.
No, but only if the thought of not thinking strawberry counts.
Oh, well, didn't you think of strawberry then?
Then I have thought about strawberry.
Don't think of stories. Don't. Well.
Or like that.
Yeah. So trying to push away just doesn't work. The monkey likes the attention of that it gets when we say don't. It's like a kid, really. So when we and did somebody of you have kids or work with kids? I don't know. I did work with kids, and I've worked with an autistic one, and I was not allowed to use the word not, don't, no. So all those negations, I was not allowed to work. It was so difficult. Anyway, this was a really good training to myself, thinking, how am I talking to myself? And when I'm sitting, then I think, I don't want that, I don't want that, I don't want that, don't, just doesn't work. So therefore, instead of trying to push, when this happens, it's again an expression of your own loving kindness that exists within yourself. The wish of wanting to think about something else is the wish for happiness. So that is allowed to be embraced. So the moment when you recognize, oh, I want something else, that actually is a sign that you're longing for happiness. And that is allowed to be there. And with that, you can then think, oh, what does make me happy? Oh, being kind and gentle to myself and just allowing myself to come back to the breath. And again, that can happen. My meditation experience is like this. I meditate breath. Oh, nice. Oh, pizza. Breath. Oh, nice. Oh, yesterday I really had a difficult day. Oh, wait, breath. Oh, tomorrow I have to do so much stuff. So it just goes like this, but there's no punishment. We don't need to punish ourselves for going, because that's the job of our mind. The mind is supposed to do that, and that is a gift. So instead of the first thing, as I really like how Mingyur Rinpoche says, befriending the mind. And that doesn't mean we have to change it. The nature of the mind right now is to go around like that. So we incorporate that. We say, welcome, I invite you to be who you are. And that's the greatest gift of kindness that we can give to ourselves at this very moment in time. So allowing ourselves to be as we are is the greatest gift of kindness that we can give to ourselves. And I think we need this kindness towards ourselves, because already the surrounding might sometimes be tough, and we most often are the most toughest to ourselves. So in order to kind of counteract that without having to fight against it, is just allowing to be as it is. And then the next thing, since we didn't do analytical meditation, because I didn't manage to go through all these things, but it doesn't really matter. We still have 5 minutes, and before I go into some of those explanations about breath, there are 3 more really, really nice things about it. And for you, if you like challenges that you can take on for the next week in your day-to-day life, is there anything that you want to talk about, any question that you're having, or any remark from this last hour? Okay, wonderful. That means the online people, nothing comes. Okay, also good. With respect to the breath, there's 3 nice things that we have from it. First of all, in order to be inspired to meditate, we need to know its qualities. And 3 nice things about it is that when we have very much stress, we can just use the full body. And that allows us to develop the quality of relaxation, because it's really big and we can just scan the body using the sensations of the breath. So using the full body helps us to cultivate relaxation. Then we can use the breath also at the area of our abdomen, the belly rising and falling. That already is a little bit more subtle. That already helps us then to find a sense of stability, because the breath is quite easy to recognize. Oh, it's going in, it's going out, it's going in and out. So that helps us to develop the sense of stability. And if we have kind of a feeling of, oh, that's going really well, and today my mind is kind of calm, then we can also use the entrance of the nose. Most probably you know all of it. But and this can help us when we recognize this very more subtle sensations of the breath in the area of our mouth and the upper lip. That allows us to develop the sense of clarity, vigilance, which is in order for us to become more sharp in our mind, in our concentration. That's one thing. And the other thing is the breath is with us until we die, hopefully, because being on those machines is, I think, really, really difficult. And I know some people who have been on it who don't breathe anymore. So let's pray that we all breathe until we die. Meaning that if we use and get to know and get used to, that's the expression, breathing meditation in formal sessions, we can do this really everywhere. So whenever we feel panic or whenever we feel stressed in a situation somewhere outside, we can recognize, oh, my breath is really strong right now. That actually helps it. That actually becomes then easier when we are very agitated. The breath goes more quickly, which then is easier to focus on, even though it might feel uncomfortable. But the breath is there all the time. And then the good thing also, if we're really, really starting to relax, the breath also becomes more subtle. So that means that we also have to focus more clearly. That also strengthens, so it's a really nice tool that strengthens then our concentration. And then another thing, it really is something physical. So therefore, it brings us out of this huge amount of chaos that we have in our minds at certain times. So the challenge that I would like to give with you, because next week we most probably gonna continue our stabilizing meditation practice, but also focus on generating something which is called, as you already know, the 4 immeasurables and steps. And for that, the challenge that I would like to give you is, for this next week, maybe you can tell yourself what you think you're capable of doing. Are you thinking you are capable of doing 3 things that you're grateful for, which are different each and every day, or you think 1 is enough for now? So meaning, was my instruction clear? So we have 3 things each day which are different each day, which we are grateful of, in ourselves, in others, whatever. Do you think 3 is possible, or would you prefer 1? 2? 2 is the golden middle, the middle way. We have 2 things that we're grateful of, and we're going to use them in our next meditation. So bring them if you like. If some people, I personally am somebody, I really like taking notes. If you like that, you can do it while notes. If you are not so much like the writing person, then don't, and keep it in your own mind. Or draw it or record it, whatever works for you well. And then the next challenge, let's say, I want to give you, most probably all of you have already kind of a stable meditation practice, but try at least 5 minutes a day, form a meditation practice when you're sitting, and try at least 3 times a day informal. And this can be a second. Okay, that sounds really big, but as I said earlier, the recognition of sound. Try at least a second, or at least 3 times a day, a informal meditation session, meaning I'm recognizing I'm breathing, or I'm recognizing I'm listening to sound. That's it. Try to do that. Okay, is it clear for everyone? So we have 5 minutes formal, 3 times informal, and 3 things you're grateful for every day.
2.
Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. 2 things. 2 things. If you have more, you're allowed. If you have less, it's also fine. But we go for the middle 2. Okay. So then I would say we have already passed 9. Do you have your hand like this? Okay. Yeah. And then we can dedicate. And I sent out a prayer by His Holiness, and I personally, or you sent, I sent it to you.
Everybody, I don't know if you got it.
It's something that we don't have to do now, because it's like a nice motivation. Maybe we use it next time, but it's really, if you need sometimes motivation, I personally use it every day in the morning. It's a beautiful motivation for the day and life, and yeah. I think it would be wonderful if we do a bodhicitta. For anyone who doesn't know what it means, you can just try to think of what would be the most possible thing that you would want to achieve for others, and how far could you possibly imagining giving away whatever we have done here together and in your entire life, whatever goodness there is, how far could you extend that to others? And the reason why we dedicate is because whatever positive potential that we create, if we hold onto it too tightly, there's no much benefit. Because everything that is so much around in our own world, in my own universe, is in the end not really in line with what is possible to achieve, because we are plenty of people in this world. And if we focus only on ourselves and the whole world has to revolve around me, that's just simply impossible, because we have thousands of different worlds, millions of different worlds. So instead of focusing on ourselves, let's try to share all of this positive potential and whatever you think is positive with everybody else. for it to become beneficial. And for those who do want to check in the prayer book, I think it is, oh yeah, for example, on page 130. Oh wait, there is somebody sending a message. Okay, never mind. Yeah, so it's on page 130, the second one. And just take a moment to allow yourself to connect to your wish to be happy. And then take a moment to recognize that each and everybody is exactly the same as you are in that wish. And then allow yourself to connect to this wish from others. Changchup Sancho Grimpoche Makye Panam Gyuche Kyevanyamba Mebayam Gomne Gomdu Perwaisho. And then we can do Shantideva's prayer. I think this is on 140. May all beings everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merit. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with a mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored and find repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water and delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May there be timely rains and bountiful harvests. May all medicines be effective and wholesome prayers bear fruit. May all who are sick and ill quickly be freed from their illness. Whatever diseases they might have brought, may they never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other. For as long as space remains, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then may I too remain, to dispel the miseries of the world. And then you can do your own private, silent dedications in case you have one. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Well, good night. Sleep well.